Hey guys, this is Ken Spangenberg. I'm here with Eric Pelletier, Bryant University recruiting coordinator and assistant coach. And then you guys all know Will Liggins, who works with our infielders, coaches our top 2021 team, is around the facility all the time. Eric, appreciate you taking some time to talk to us today. How's everything going up there?
It's going good, man. Appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem. Before we got recording, it was cool to hear that you started your first, your coaching career at Keystone College, the same as me actually. So why don't we start there? Like, how did you go from playing to coaching? Like, what was that like? Did you always want to coach, or did you kind of fall into it?
So, yeah, the coaching side to me has always been something that I've been a part of my life. Kind of growing up, I played for my dad. My dad was one of my best coaches I ever had. Talking from Babe Ruth, obviously. Being a college player, as you know, usually one of the better players on the field. And my dad threw me out in left field. He hit me eighth, and he just said, "You got to learn how to be that guy too, because when it comes," and just kind of those little lessons always stuck with me. And then just growing up through playing even golf, like it's just always like things I've seen, and you try to help people out, and just really enjoyed that engagement piece. And then, as you know, when you play the game, sometimes the game tells you when the career's over. And that's what I was a solid college player, but loved the work. Loved the behind the scenes stuff. Always spending time in the cage. And then my junior year, I actually got caught sleeping at first base and had to dive back and pop my rotator cuff. And it ended my year, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I actually I couldn't go out and play in the summer, so I actually had to make me look bigger picture. And I had aspirations. I'm from Boston, so I was going to be the GM for the Red Sox, like everyone wants to be. So in order to get that, I got an internship actually in the NECBL in the North Shore Navigators when they were in there. And I was really lucky because the GM of the organization, his name was Peter Delani. He was a old school scout for the Rockies. He was an assistant principal at Masco High School. So just kind of from a baseball perspective, but also life perspective. Like he had written a book, really bright, intelligent guy. I worked really hard for him. He kind of gave me some jobs rather than just raking the field as my junior year. Like I got to be in the dugout, look at some decisions. And then by the time I left in the summertime, he asked me if I wanted to come back to coach before I even graduated. So I took that right there and kind of used my senior year just to get myself ready. And it was awesome. I fell in love with it. And again, talk about like someone who, again, I was 22 and didn't know much at all. Thought I did, but there's a whole lot of energy. And he actually put me right at third base. And he's right there from young age. I'd never done it before. And again, you look back at it now, some of the team, like you had Eric Jagailo, who's got a little cup of coffee with the Yankees. I mean, these are potential high draft, big league guys that were there, and I was working with them every day. So that's where my career got off and running. From there, we actually ended up playing Jamie Shevchik from Keystone because he was coaching Danbury at the time. Yeah. We beat him in the championship, and then he offered me a job. He still says he wouldn't have given me a job if we lost.
That sounds like
yeah. Then that's a lot like him, as you know. And that's kind of where it jump started, man. I'll be honest. I've been really lucky to work for a lot of winners and winning culture. And I pull everything from that. From going to Jamie Shevchik, they've won their league, 15 years in a row at that point?
Long time.
And we ended up going to being that first year that the Keystone College program went to the World Series. From that summer, went back to the NECBL and ended up getting a job at my alma mater where I played at Southern New Hampshire. So Scott Loizo was up there. I actually played for him his first 2 years. My junior and senior year was when he was taking the program and started to change it. So I went back and worked with him, and under that year, we went to the D2 World Series. So at this point, I had a shamrock over my shoulder, I thought, and got to work under him. And then that summer, I went to the Cape Cod League and got to work under Coach Scott Pickler at YD, who's obviously a perennial winner there. And just under those three atmospheres, like I really got to kind of absorb. And those guys let me go. Like they weren't guys that were ultra controlling. And so I got at a young age to get Sam Travis, who's with the Red Sox in the Cape. Like I'm teaching him how to play third base. And just like they weren't in the way. Like they let me go, and then they'd kind of line me up and be like, hey, what do you think about this way? And it was just awesome to be around those people. And also like the environments they created of like being able to motivate and coach, but also under expectations. Like you go to YD, like you're going to win a championship. Like, and he lets you know that it's not just summer ball. Like at Southern New Hampshire, like he was trying to win 50 games. And Scott Wise was a genius of manipulating and developing while still winning. And obviously Chev the same thing, new personalities every year and gets them just to buy in and win. And it kind of got me going on there. And I was at Southern New Hampshire for 2 years and then got to be able to make my way to Division I at UMass Lowell. Coach Ken Herron gave me a chance. Got to work with the hitters there and actually be surrounded by, obviously, him, an 18-year head coach. And then Brendan Monahan, who's now at Rutgers, he was our pitching coach. So it was fun kind of get that level. That was my first D1 really recruiting and being able to see the scholarship and really get on the summer circuit. I spent 2 years there, and that was great, being close to home and being obviously a Massachusetts guy, a lot in my area. But then I got the opportunity to go to Marist, and it was a big thing for me because I wanted to get out and see another part of the region. You guys from doing this, you usually see the same faces. So I got out to Poughkeepsie, New York at Marist, and actually under Coach Traz, he actually gave me the offense, and I coached third base. So I was there for 4 years, taking control of that, being in control of the recruiting and the offense. And that was the first time I really got to recruit the players that I wanted to coach and under what fit under my offense and be able to go get that guy, which was a lot of fun. And went to a regional there, Florida region in 2017. Had a lot of success with guys and just being able to finally like recruit guys and see them develop over 4 years was fun. But as the game goes, obviously this past summer, the Bryant job opened up and Coach Klosterman got the job. And within 3 days, we had one phone call and it must've went well. And he offered me, and obviously getting back home and kind of what we have going on here, it's been a great opportunity from the facilities and get to be able to go back to my roots a little bit with some expanded connections like you guys.
Yeah, for sure. So you touched on a bunch of different things that we're going to circle back to. So the first thing, and this is kind of sad that it's different, is winning. I think you look on social media and you see launch angle, snap, this, that. You really don't hear much about winning. Mm-hmm. What do you think the few key pillars are of a winning culture of a college program? What's the separator between guys who are going to regionals and guys who aren't?
And that's $1 million question.
It is. That's why I asked.
For me, and I preach this to our dudes a lot, like it's just consistency. I think it's about going about making a plan and attacking the plan day-to-day basis, whatever the result is. And I think sometimes result varies so much. We don't allow ourselves to see what would come from it. You know what I mean? It's, this didn't go good that day, so let's tweak it. And sometimes you just got to stick it out because like there is bumps in the road. But as long as I tell you, he's like, you keep showing up. We use a lot of analogy talking about a boxing match. Like it's just one round. Like you just got to keep, stay on your feet and just keep fighting. And then you go. And I think a lot of that, like the winning part's an umbrella. And then you just look at it as like pieces and what comes to that day. And I think like your daily preparation. All right, what is our focus today? How are we doing it? And then what's our learning side? Like, are we learning or are we just going through it? And then you look at the other thing, like the priority systems. Like, did you already start the day right? All right, because winning, again, it's a college institution, right? Like you come here to go to school. And that's the biggest part, especially I've worked at a bunch of academic institutions. Like it goes hand in hand. Like again, if academics are the one thing that can take baseball away. So did you start your day in the classroom, get your homework done so that we don't have any of those outside distractions affecting our practice? All right, and that's what I've been around. The winning cultures have a great way to allow you, like those kids know their priorities, where they need to get done. All right, and then they come and get to work with nothing in the way. And honestly, those are the guys that struggle in coming to those. Also, I think the biggest part, motivating under an expectation. And I know we'll probably get into it later, but in the recruiting side, like I really value people that play for winning programs, winning high schools, high-end AU, and again, or just consistently playing in championships, because you know how to play without a fear of failing, but understanding like it's okay to fail correctly, but also like sometimes it's just not good enough. And those are common things I heard early in my career of like, all right, like you could easily to kind of sugarcoat and say, oh, we played great, we did this. Yeah, but it's just not good enough. Like at some point there's a black line. Like you just put it across in the sand and it either was or wasn't, and then you move on. So I would say the consistency, being able to handle expectations are huge. And then just the work. I'll be honest, they tend to get guys that love it. Like those are the guys that the cages are always filled. Like people always hang around the park extra. Like when practice is over, it ain't just a run to the locker room and get out of there, unless the guy's really late for a tutor or something. But it's that atmosphere and that comfortability of getting guys around. And I'll be honest, and I've been around a few of them, there really is no hierarchy either. From the young guys stepping on campus, the older guys, they take them right in. And there's no like, are you carrying buckets? It's like the older guys are the first one carrying buckets. I mean, for me, I'm the first. My guys will tell you, I'll carry buckets. Like, let's just get it done rather than who's doing it. And I think those are little tiny things that pull into that winning culture. Because it's so much more than just like high quality players and winning. Like it's your day-to-day choices. And can they just be consistent and efficient? And those are the programs that they get the most done on a daily basis, and they can handle the most throughout a 56-game schedule.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I mean, the consistency thing is huge. Like we're all looking for this like magic secret pill. And at the end of the day, it's just exactly what you said. There's expectations. You do them every day. And all of a sudden over the course of the season, it really adds up. Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
So now go. That's a lot of information that, you look for in a winning culture. So you don't really get to see that from watching a kid play in the summer. So you personally, what do you try to do to get to know you're bringing in a right guy that's going to fit your culture no matter what he can do on the field?
And so here's the other part. I also, because it loops into that, like I do think there's winning people. Because I think winning is so much more of like you have to deal with things, you have to work through things, you have to persevere things, and those are personality traits. The ability to put something behind. Like think about your day-to-day inconvenience. Like when you're in the gas station and there's a line, are you like, come on, man? Or are you like, all right, like it is what it is, I'm here. Because I think that's a lot like a baseball game. Like you're going to get punched in the face in a game. It's going to be 5-0 in the third inning. And can you go? And I think that personality trait has to be able to be natural and real. All right. And when it's real, to go with your side, the recruiting side's easy. Because within a phone call, you know if that kid connects with you. And that's like when it comes to the summertime, getting to know the coaches, and getting to know if you're getting the right information, the real information. And then the kid, like, and I'll be honest, I've been doing it for almost 10 years now. Like you get on a phone call with kids sometimes and it doesn't connect. And that's it. And that's fine because our personalities are different. But then there's other kids that it's just like that. And you're like, that's the kid I want to coach, because when it comes to the hard conversations, when it comes to that, maybe I need to get them going and motivate them and get on them a little bit. Like he knows where I'm coming from. Maybe when I need to tell him like, relax and move, dude, like, don't worry about that. Like he trusts me. And I think trust is not built through, it is built through action sometimes, but it's also built through just being real. And they know that you're coming from an area of just trying to get them better and come to the program. So I do think it's really easy to see who can fit into your winning culture, because also winning culture is individual. Like there is very loose coaches that win a ton of games. And then there's guys that are more by the book, like show up this way and they win a ton of games. Like, and again, it's just being true to yourself and getting players that a part of their personality can connect to that. So the skill set's easy. I mean, heck, I can call one of you guys and you tell me who's good, but it's who can play under me, under Coach Klosterman, and under our vibe, and who can flourish under that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think sometimes people think recruiting's all the colleges or all the players, and really it's like a mutually beneficial relationship. Mm-hmm. Like if one side isn't on the same page, it's ultimately not going to work out, regardless of how good the program or how good the player is. So
go back to hours. Like we're allowed 20 hours a week to practice, but talk about in season, you're talking about 12-hour bus trips, talking about stopping, like after you have a tough weekend, maybe lose 2 out of 3 and you didn't play that well, and then you got to stop at the rest stop. to eat, like, I ain't gonna be mad at each other. It's a game. Like, they're still human. You know what I mean? So being around, having people in your hole that you still love and trust, and you know, like, we're working, but like, you still got to be a person. Like, that stuff matters. That's what builds off of, all right, Monday we can do a video session, then Tuesday we can actually get back to work, and no one has bad, like, we know what happened. Like, we're around each other more than our own families. So you do have to love and respect those guys and want the guys. At the end of the day, this is like, when it comes to, you just want them to be in your program. Like, I want to work with that guy. Like, I want to go to war, battle with him. Like, and it's a simple decision. And like, it's not like, oh, it's because he does this, this, and this, you know, it's just a gut feeling. It's just like, nah, like, we're good.
Yeah, I completely agree. So let's dive into the hitting a little bit. So obviously, I think one of the best ways to be a really good hitting coach is to recruit good hitters. So beyond the intangibles that you just touched on, you know, what are some things you look for in a hitter?
Well, number one, the barrel doesn't lie. And you talked about, we're in a time where everyone kind of wants to make their own gist on what is the it. Like, what's the one thing that you need to do? At the college level and at our level, like, I've never wanted to limit my recruiting. And so from the hitting side, maybe it's being an average hitter myself. Got to be able to come and attack it at an open mind, hear lots of different pieces. And sometimes, again, when you're younger, you ride the wave like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. But now where I really kind of piggyback myself is the ability to kind of pick up all styles and know the nooks of it to help that kid. All right, so figure out what that is. If that kid comes from a high-level pattern background, all right, and that makes him successful, I don't think we're in a position to tell him that not to do that. Like, that's not, why would I recruit you to change you? It makes no sense. It's about, for me, finding pieces that I'm comfortable, and on the hitting side, I guess it comes down to this. One, someone that understands their swing and what they're trying to do. I think when you get kids like that work enough to the capacity that they have, they can answer a question on what their goal is. All right, now you can start to peel back some layers with them. So when things go wrong, like, what were you trying to go here? Well, here, and then it just becomes as you know, a give and a take in comparison of what we can do to make that player better. But in regards to the launching, all that, like, if you can't hit the barrel consistently, like, it's, what are we talking about? It's just, oh, he has juice, but the contact percentage is 25%, or the hard contact percentage is below average. Like, it just don't work. Like, this is the biggest piece, and I think that we need to understand, is that pitching is ahead of us on the offensive side, because we all have a little bit of ego. It's human nature. All right, and we just want to stick in our ways, where pitching always been a little more open-minded. I mean, you look at a big league game and see the velocities and stuff like that. How make your way to a D1 game? I mean, I'll tell you about, we had 2 weekends. We didn't see balls below 92, 93 with 80-plus mile-an-hour cutters and a changeup. Oh, and a breaking ball that he threw 15% of the time just to steal strikes. Like, it's a different ball game now. So if we can expect you to all of a sudden learn how to truly hit with us, we're giving ourselves too much credit. You have to be able to consistently time the baseball up and hit the ball hard. From there, we can start to change some things. And that's where maybe that's personal things, but I've had a lot of success with guys that may be single doubles guys that can just have a knack for timing up plus velo, low velo, and then teach them how to maybe swing and miss. Teach them how to free it up, how to sit on a pitch and be okay with fouling it off or swinging, because you're now 0-1 versus 0-1. And that's just a personal piece. The physical assets and the physical tools, I personally have always loved multi-sport guys. I think they have elite feel for their body. I really love the hockey baseball piece, because, again, if I was building a hitter, I think you need to live from the middle of your body, and I don't think you need to over-rotate. I think you need to stay through the lane as long as you can. But hockey, from their lower half to core connection, there's not too much hyper movers where there's so much separation, that they can get into trouble. Also, football players, because they're just compact athletes, and I believe short arms don't get jammed. So if you're compact and rigid, I think you have a chance from day one. And that's the biggest part. And this is when I look at a kid, and I'm sorry, like, maybe it's just our expectation. Like, I don't think a kid should want to sit his freshman year. Like, I don't think he should be a development kid. Like, I think you need to get guys with the ability to come in right away and impact one way, whether that's just singles and doubles right now, all right, or if you do have the chance. But you got 4 years, and if you think that we got to spend 2 of them trying to get you better, like it just doesn't work that way. It's just too long of a time. So the ability to come in with a physical tool to handle the velocity, the movement, and adjustability. All right, I always go back to that compactness of the athlete. All right, and just that overall athleticism to be able to adjust. Two major things I look for.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And honestly, we've heard that a bunch over the past couple of weeks. So once you get that type of guy, and that guy who can help their freshman year in the program, what does a typical day in the life look like for a hitter? Like, is everyone different? Do they each have their own plans, or are they all doing about the same thing? Machine, no machine? Like, what are we talking?
So, I mean, it starts early in the fall. And again, actually from now with how early recruiting is, once they're committing, I said, this is just a start. Now we become open books. I actually personally try to coach them more before they get onto campus to have a better vibe. So that way September 1st hits, like we're off and running.
Right.
But a lot of conversations. And that's the one thing, I'll be honest, one of my biggest things is open-mindedness too. It's really hard for me to coach a kid that kind of won't try things. Because I think trying is the best thing you can do, because you figure something doesn't work or works. So we're very based on trying to create realistic training environments. And then we're training, and then there's swing work. So at a day-to-day work, maybe it's because we're a younger staff. I mean, Coach Klosterman's 37 himself. I'm 32. Hate standing around. Like, maybe it's our ADD side, but like that part. So like normal BP, Bryant University, you won't get it. There's too many people just doing nothing. So we actually break down our groups to 8 guys at a time. So they'll start in the cage doing their prep work. There'll usually be a drill, maybe that day that I want to introduce our 2-strike T work, or some pieces that again are more feel-based, not just step on the plate, choke up, and and do that. Like, it's more whatever their best 2-strike pros. But that'll be through conversations, figure out if they're T guys, front toss guys, and then through video for the first 2 weeks of really actually just talking and not really coaching, coming the plan of what do they want to be. And I've heard it a bunch, and I love it. Is just like, what do you want to look like by the time this is over? And sometimes like what their swing looks like, and what their view is aren't even close. So try to get those goals in line, and then let them attack it and completely let them fail. Like, drills should be hard if you're trying to fix something, because it means you're doing an action that your body's not used to. So we'll spend 15 minutes in there, and then we'll go straight to the field where we are lucky enough we have double barrel. I mean, we got about 4 machines.
Nice.
I really believe the machine doesn't lie. So we'll have double cages on the field, and then we also have cages just off of our field. So there'll be some breaking ball, some piece going on in the cage where 4 guys will be going. So again, more quality, taking your time, stepping in and out after every swing. And then on the field will be some challenge, whatever we have that day. Our biggest thing is I try to create a link for a field that will help them translate to the spring. So that way, I mean, we have more information on who we're going to play than ever before. We have a computer system that we can watch our starting pitcher's complete outing. I can know what he throws 0-2 breaking balls, like what it looks like. We can be fully prepared. That doesn't mean anything if you haven't faced it before. And for me, that's not sticking a hack attack machine on the mound and making it go 92 miles an hour at 3,800 revolutions. Like, that's not realistic. So on a day-to-day basis, we'll try to translate and change the pitcher. For instance, I mean, the mound's 60 feet, so we actually focus more on timing windows. So a lot of our machine work is roughly 30 to 33 feet away. Coming out about 59, 55 miles an hour is about a high 80s fastball. And we'll maneuver it anywhere from 2 to 5 feet to the right or left, depending on if we want extreme right-hander or more over the top. Over the top, we have blocks that will raise it up, create more downhill angle, to allow them to be like, okay, today we're facing a 6'8" right-hander over the top. Go hit. And then constantly talking to them like, well, what are you feeling? Like, what do you need to do to create a line drive? And Bregman talks about it. Like, high revolution guy, I feel like I need to swing down. He's not actually swinging down. That's his field to be successful, to hit a pure line drive. All right, same thing versus when we tweak the handle a little bit and create a right-hand sinker, because the machine stinks, but now make it run a little bit. It makes it a little tougher. But guess what? We face that. Like, we're going to face that every weekend. Some guys are going to sink and run. All right, so maybe where, as much as we're working on barrel accuracy, we're also working strike zone command. All right, maybe middle in now is a ball. And can we train that? And I don't force anything. We open guys up to journals. We also fully allow, I'm a big believer, I allow my guys to have their phones around. I think if you want to see something, their ability to record each other, to have a note and put it down, like, it's unbelievable. Like, to minimize that, like, we would be, that's too old school for me. Like, this is an encyclopedia. This is a book. This is a notebook. And to allow them to track that field, so that by the end, my goal is by the end of the fall, when I go, all right, so low slot lefty, like swinger slider, they go, all right, I like to, like, my feel is this. And that way, when we go to the springtime off the scouting report stuff, they can go back to their notes, kind of feel what they need to do to be successful with it. And that's where it comes to, it's truly training environment that way. And then the guys that do need to make maybe major changes with a swing or need to be opened up, that's that alone time. That's that one-on-one time. That's that morning. We purposely use less hours so that we can do some half-hour sessions with guys under that 20-hour window, to be able to come to us. As you know, some guys need some one-on-one love. Some guys need to get right.
Sure.
And kind of in a broad way, that's essentially how our program is run. It's awesome because Coach Klosterman, obviously, my head coach was the assistant at UCF, top assistant for quite some time, and played AA with the Blue Jays. So he's an elite hitting mind himself. And we're the same thing. We want to challenge the system, but not overwhelm it. Because hitting is hard, and I think sometimes we forget that. Like, hitting is very hard. We train to make it easy. We ain't doing the right mentally.
Right.
For sure. That's really interesting. I've honestly never heard of programs using machines to that extent early. So that way guys start to feel that out in the fall. Usually it's like, all right, well, we know this guy that we're facing in a couple days is 6'8", righties, fastball, 12-6 guy. Then they set the machine up. It's really cool to give that feedback and an opportunity to guys early so they can start getting to know themselves that much better. I'm sure like the freshmen, their minds are kind of blown in the beginning. But I would think it would really help guys figure out themselves.
Well, and this is where the part of like coaching style and philosophy, like I'm fine with seeing like foul ball in the machine, because that means they're working and learning. Like they need to fail in order to get better. And it's all about just the expectation. We slam that home of like, we cannot have game day VP expectations. Like, this is not, all right, you're getting a round of 6. Like, you're not going to smash 5 out of 6 and like, that's it. Like, I want rounds of 5, take your time. If you hit 3 out of 5, you win. And you see it, and it's human nature. That barrel, he'll hit the 3rd one, so he won, but then he pops up the 4th one, and then he plummets down. And he feels bad about his round. Like, understanding, like, if you're 3 for 5 in a day, dude, you're walking off the park like, yeah, let's go. And that's where that machine, and again, you can, we gauge the expectation. All right, so it's 30 feet. Like, we make it reasonable. Timing window starts a little bit more friendly early, and then we sync it up and make it a little tougher depending on the day. And I think it is a flex, but I tell our guys all the time, like, we cannot train and you can't beat yourself up after every bad rep. And then when you hit a good one, just say, okay, good, I'm supposed to. Then you just turn into an absolute plummet. And you never get right to being like where you feel really good and confident. Like, if you're going to beat yourself up, when you smash one into our woods, like, I better see you up here too. Like, and we need to end up somewhere in the middle. And consistency in their mentality is obviously a strength, but some guys don't have that. It's just realistic. Some guys are high and low guys, and how can you manage them too? Because there's really good players that live off of that, like, excitement and anxiety.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the one last thing I was curious about, because a lot of our players are younger, And, whether they're working with like dad out in the cages or with a couple buddies, what are some simple things that you would recommend for young guys as they're kind of growing up through the game from an offensive standpoint?
Learning just to love to hit. Like the ability to make it carefree in the process, not so much structure, but just getting out there, getting off the tee, moving the baseball. Like that, it's the biggest thing I see from kids that have been in cages since young ages is that it just becomes a stress environment. Every swing is nitpicked and bumped rather than just like getting, swinging and hitting and just learning. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, there's less of it. And I think this whole situation is going to open up some doors. I've already seen it on social media. I mean, myself, and you guys probably did it. Like I had a swing set. Obviously, at 15 years old, I wasn't using the swing set anymore. So I put my dad's tarp over it and made a tee. So like when I was bored in the summer, I'd go hit. And again, I wouldn't do it every day. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I was religious. But like it gave me an avenue. And now you're starting to see kids do that. Like I think it's starting to get kids creative. And I'm hoping it turns a corner with that to make, like, you don't know where the ball's going. Like, you don't know where it's going in a cage. So why are you stressing so? Just contact and then the next swing. But being able to just enjoy it is the number one thing as you're moving through. Like, the results will start to come and they'll stay connected. Again, hitting is so easy because as you get stronger, you get better. Like I talk about our freshmen all the time. Like this is the first time in a 5-6 day a week strength program. Like I'm not going to get you better in the box. The barbell is. And it's the same thing from a 12-year-old to a 13 to 15. Like as your body changes, all of a sudden moving the bat becomes easier. But if you don't get in your own way, you'll allow yourself to develop naturally.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have the weight room in our facility, I think, is a huge benefit. And Will, you can talk to the benefit and how you've seen a lot of your guys you've referred up to Rob. I mean, I think the weight room's like the most underrated way to get a hitter better. You don't see a lot of weak guys playing on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I always send guys to Rob first before we even some guys in college or other high schools that I work with, I always refer Rob first, to tap into their physical potential. But, that's the most important thing that separates everybody, from each other because everybody's doing it. So, it's really important to, get in that environment, where you're training and you have a strength conditioning coach that you trust. And, again, going back to what Eric said earlier, really just being open-minded to, everything and find out what works for you. Because even during our discussions with different coaches, and everybody's different, everybody's philosophy is different, everybody's route is different. To be able to have that open-mindedness, it might lead to, a road where you'll have more success.
It's also, I think, another investment piece. Like, obviously, it's easy, it's fun. All right, they come hit up Willie and go hit in the cage, get some BP, and that's it. But like, all right, now I got to go spend another hour and 15 minutes on myself because that's the only thing the weight room does. Like, you're working for yourself. You can't help anyone else. And to be able to attack the weaknesses and be able to get exposed, your weakness is more exposed. Like, for instance, like I squat 175. That kind of stinks right now. How are you going to, like, are you going to attack it every day? Are you going to talk to your strength coach and maybe devise a plan to maybe how can I expedite that? Like maybe I'm lower half 3 days a week rather than just 2. And that's just personal preference. And you can do because that mentality carries over to the box. Because that's like the number one thing is in the batter's box, especially, like we don't control anything. And this is like number one thing. We don't control a single thing. The ball moves. We have an umpire that, again, supposed to be 17 inches. We all know that's not true. But we don't. The only thing we control is how we step in, our timing, and then when we get going. So if you can now start to knock off some of those things, like in the weight room, all right, well, I control my lower half to make sure my body is ready to go. Like control the aspects we can, and you're just prepared because we're preparing for something we have no control over. So our avenues need to be small, and I really see the best hitters I've ever coached are the most like kind of like direct in the weight room, know what they're doing, and attacking. It's not just one or the other. It's not that old school mentality anymore, like you're saying. Like, because the kids are doing these from 13 years old on, 10, 9, and it's awesome because you're getting better movers, and guys that have better feel. But we also, again, it just needs to be directed that hitting's supposed to be fun. So if you can tie the both in, just make them both fun and then connect it, I mean, you're going to get a different level of player, and a more ready player for when he comes to our level.
I want to touch on something, and you talked about playing for your dad when you were younger, and we have dads in the program. We have a lot of dads that are involved. So kind of explain your dynamic a little bit, and when your dad let you, free and let you do things on your own, or when he, really buckled down on you, and just share your little story.
Yeah, my dad is. I come from a really tight family and of athletes, and I'll be honest, my mom would tell you that she's the best athlete in the family. Like, I actually learned to hit from my mom. My dad was a softball pitcher, and I'll be honest, I grew up at softball fields. My dad played fast pitch softball, windmill. I mean, talk about big tournaments. Like, and he could chuck it. And that's probably why he has 4 screws in his back right now, because he did it till he was about 42. But being around those environments, it means like I called them my uncles, but family, friends, and those, like, again, just like a team, as you guys know, your teammates, you connect, and they're in the parking lot afterwards, and I'm a kid hanging out. You're just around athletes and people that love to win, and again, even fast pitch softball, 40-year-olds, like still focusing on it. So he just always had a bigger picture mentality with me, of, like, again, obviously in your local area, like in Beverly, Massachusetts, like, I was a good player, but that's just a rabbit hole. And when I grew up, there was no real AAU baseball. Like, I went down to Georgia one time, and it was like the team Massachusetts. Like, it was like the 15 best players in Massachusetts, and we all just went down. And I don't even know. I don't even think I was one of them, but I just got a ticket. But he allowed me to view the bigger picture. So he coached our Little League team, and whereas most Little League coaches were playing the best player at shortstop, I think the Little League rule was you only had to play like 2 innings if you're a bench guy. And he took that and blew it up and made it, everyone was playing 4 or 5 innings, and he rotated positions. So I go from short to pitch. So our kid that might be learning the game, and again, just doing it to make friends. Like, he played from left to right to center, and from failing or like where most people would just, all right, well, now we got to win some games. I actually saw from a young age the ability that all of a sudden that kid that can't catch a fly ball, by the end of the season, he's catching a fly ball. And actually, he taught me how to play the long game. And that's the biggest picture when it comes to this, of like, where are you now, but where do we want to get to? And how much failure is going to have to happen to get there? And I think sometimes from the young side, we just want results. All right, we want the win. All right, we want him to get the most at bats. Whereas sometimes, like, you have to teach the group and the young guys to maybe fail a little bit, make it hard for them, but let them and tell them it's all right. And that's what my dad really instilled with me. And from the biggest part of, like, being like, you might be one of the more talented players on this team. He's like, but you're a part of this team. So whether that's you're hitting the 2-hole or the 9-hole, like, or you're on the bench today, like, I'm going to start these guys and you're going to wear it. And I think it just prepared me for when I got to college, and all of a sudden, like, my freshman year, where I'm like, all right, I'm going to play shortstop. Like, I'm going to step in. And then there's a sophomore there. I'm like, man, that kid's pretty good. Like, all right, like, easy to hit the eject button. Whereas I was like, well, our left field needs a little work. So I just went and grabbed the glove and played out there. But I got to go back to, like, my Babe Ruth days where my dad threw me out in the outfield. And so it allowed me to, one, stay in it and stay at a school that I at Southern New Hampshire, I had an amazing experience working and playing under a coach that's one of the best in the region. But also allowed me just to kind of stick with it through life. So from a dad perspective, when it came to that, like, he was always, let's just say, he was my biggest fan behind my back. Like, whenever I had a good game in college, like, I knew he was go stop by the Union Club and be talking to his buddies and be like, oh yeah, Eric was 2 for 4. And then, like, when I called him, he'd be like, oh, how'd you do today? Like, he already knew. But it was always just like, well, how's school going? Like, how's that stuff going? It was always bigger than just baseball. And I really do appreciate him for that. And I owe it to him every day.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty cool, story to hear, because I try to get my guys to have, 2 or 3 or 4 different guys, people in their lives that they can talk to, just communicate and express things that are, building up inside that, the really only way to cure it is to talk about it, and, to have those few relationships. And I'm huge on that, because none of us can do any of this by ourselves. We all have that little circle that we can go back to. So that we do have a lot of dads and, guys that are around, the dads are around the facility as much as some of the kids are, so it's pretty cool to hear your story and share that. And whenever, I'm sure a lot of our guys and dads are going to watch this video, so, thank you for that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I love the point about the long game. I think that really gets lost in the culture of baseball today. In the grand scheme of things, if you're like, I'm sure you take your dad, he's a good enough baseball guy where he probably could have won 20 more games if he played guys in the right situations, bunted, did first and third plays and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't help the player. And frankly, the best 12-year-olds are the guys that have hit puberty and are 5'10" and have mustaches. So being a good 12-year-old in the grand scheme of things, like, really doesn't matter whatsoever. So that's really cool that he pointed that out that early. And honestly, my dad, I think, sounds very similar. I think they'd probably be boys. But Will, what other questions do you have for Eric?
Really that was it. He covered a lot. I think one of the biggest things is even some of these interviews that we're doing, it's a unique time. Everybody's trying to think of ways to stay connected and put content together and make the best out of this situation, and that leads to an opportunity like this for us to have this kind of discussion and be able to share it with our organization and, get some messages out there. But I guess one last thing would be, what are you doing, to keep yourself up and, not so much motivated, but, look down the road. And then, obviously staying connected with your guys that you have. What are you kind of doing to, just check in on them, make sure they're okay. And, if this was to break tomorrow, are we all going to be ready?
Yeah. No, that's a really good question, because I think everyone has like their own piece, and it's awesome. You look on Twitter right now, you see everyone, you can see what people are doing.
Yeah.
And attacking it. And I said it from the start, and this is kind of what you get from me, is just being real and consistent. So like, I don't mean this in a weird way, but like, nothing's really changed. You know what I mean? Like, we still have our hitters group chat that we all constantly, it's an open book that we send anything we see on Twitter. Like, that's a constant communication. I mean, that's through the summer, that's a winter time. At Christmas, guys are sending stuff. We're consistently locked in, and I think, and I told our guys this when this stuff went downhill and we had to have our last meeting, like, let's not minimize the fact of what's going on. Like, so how can we do this and follow a safe and productive protocol? We get guys that want to work and want to do that. Like, listen, man, like, you can't go on a field. So what can you do? And trying to link up and just give them atmosphere. So with a lot of guys just reviewing video of themselves, and again, this is not guided. It is more, I'm getting text messages, hey coach, what do you think of this? Like, I remember this, and that's something that I've done, and now this time allows me to double down on it. Like, I record everything. I record our one-on-one sessions. I record our front job. I record when we're just talking. I have an iPad with a stand and just run it. And each of our guys has an individual folder, and I just upload it right after we're done. And I feel like a time like now, like, guys actually going back and watching like the 10-minute clip of when we were trying to get a bat path feel, and they're like, coach, like, I saw this on Twitter, and then I went back, and now I get it. Like, being able to go back, I think sometimes we pride too much on, like, they get it right in that moment. So a lot of that stuff. Also, I'm encouraging guys to check in on the ones they love, and understand at a time like this the value of just saying what's up, how you doing, a text message, a phone call. I think is super powerful. But also, let's go off of like what we're not good at. So again, one of the big things that we have a very strong group of guys. Like, they love the weight room. They're not afraid of a barbell. I would say probably one of the things that we made a goal to get better at is mobility in there. So right now we're in the middle of a 30-day yoga challenge. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not going to say I'm a genius. I found that thing on YouTube. It was a 30-day challenge. It's a playlist. And the guys take it and they're on day 16. I'm doing it and it works. I mean, I haven't touched my toes since birth. And within 12 days, like I could almost get my hand to the ground. But that's something you can do in your living room. Another part is learning how to breathe and meditate. Super valuable being able to control your breath and acknowledge when you're hot. I mean, we could all be better at that. You know, when you're ticked off, you don't know, but it's just like being able to check yourself. Use the Headspace app. Great app. There's a lot of free aspects to it. That just 10, 12-minute meditation sessions that allow you just to learn how to breathe, control yourself. And the power of YouTube, man, like looking up like baseball meditation or even just normal meditation. Like it might feel silly, but heck, we're all by ourselves anyways. Learn how to control that mentality so when you go. And I don't think risking, all right, like those swings or what am I going to do, because it's just not worth it. Like I tell our guys, you're D1 hitters for a reason. You can hit. We've had guys get injured, miss the fall, and they're hit 330 come springtime because they can hit. And there's value in just watching. So that interpersonal piece right now, and kind of being able to attack those parts of the game where that even as coaches, I think we don't have enough time to spend on. Like we only get 20 hours a week. So we'd love to always do more yoga and more meditation, but sometimes it doesn't fit between guys' class schedules and just their day-to-day lives. So being able to take those times and set up the plan and go and the value of also telling somebody, and he's like, yeah, I'm having a tough time with this. And you're like, I am too. Like, we don't need an answer. And that's what, like, sometimes they get me. Talk to a couple of our recruits about it. Like, I get it. Your senior year just went up in dust. Like, you got no prom. Like, that stinks, man. I don't know what that feels like. But, like, I get it. And, like, we can wear it together. And now we can maybe, well, here's what I'm doing. Like, I'm not going to dictate what you need to do. But, like, here's what I'm doing. Maybe a piece of it will help. And I just think that's super valuable at a time like this, of being able just to be like everyone's dealing with stuff and being able just to be there. Don't have to be the lifesaver, but just be there. So,
yeah, I mean, I think those are two great points. Like at the end of the day, we're all human, and that needs to be the biggest priority is take care of everyone's well-being. And some of that's ourselves, and some of that's, you know, our loved ones or players or coaches or whoever. And I think the advice you gave about making the best of the situation is huge. Like when we're in season, when we're training, there's limited time and we're going to prioritize certain things. That doesn't mean there aren't a bunch of other different things, whether it's the mobility, the yoga, or just, like you said, learning, that get kind of tossed to the wayside. Now is the best time that we're ever going to have to focus on some of those things that we wouldn't have normally. But I agree, hitters are going to hit. When this is all over, guys who can swing it are still going to be able to swing it. But
we'll be fine. We'll get what we need. We'll get what we need.
For sure. I think that's all we have. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, man. I kind of went off the cuff a little bit. Nothing truly on my end, obviously. I will say this though. With your guys and social media, it's an awesome tool. It's an awesome tool. I'll be honest. I've done a lot of our recruiting off of it. It's easier to swipe and see something you like compared to like the 200 emails that are in there that I have to click a link in YouTube. So like when your guys that maybe not like kind of getting the looks they want or not, just again, don't become a influencer. That stuff gets annoying. But put your stuff out there. And I know I myself have a page, and but talk a lot about hitting stuff. And I know I talked to Willie and obviously you can about it. My side just came for my guys to give them another avenue to hear what we were talking about in practice. And it's funny how that works. Had guys be like, "Hey, coach, like I really liked what you posted. I think that's going to work for me." I was like, "We've been working on that for 2 weeks." but again, that's what we're in now, and that's right. And I don't got an ego. I don't care how you learn it. If it fits you, but I encourage you guys to, if they feel from a recruiting aspect, to put their stuff out there. We see it. I know I'm not alone. And then also from a learning aspect, follow the guys, but don't drink the Kool-Aid. Ask a lot of questions. We have our guys follow everyone. And just if that they might pick up one little piece that works for them. Like, don't need to be all in on it. but you can like something and have your own opinion.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome tool, and it's not something like people can say, oh, they're on it too much. Like, I don't think they're on it enough. That's a classroom. If you follow the right people, you have a classroom at the palm of your hand. And I can't impress it enough for those guys.
Yeah,
I know,
you're dead
that's
on.
awesome.
For sure. We'll share your social media tags and everything so people can check more of your stuff out too. I'm sure these guys are just looking to learn some more during the quarantine.
Question me. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I need to learn. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's what we're all doing. But no, Eric, I appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
No,
Really appreciate it. It's helpful to a lot of people.
No, thank you guys. Thank you for having me on anytime.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.